For actor Merlin Santana and his friend Brandon Adams, it was a frightening nightmare come to life. A dark street, a sketchy neighborhood, and two unknown gunmen closing in.
Merlin Santana really had no idea that there were two young men running up on them with guns. Brandon pulled away and was driving away. He looked over at his friend Merlin Santana and noticed that he had been shot.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be all right, man. Just hold on.
And then there was a large amount of blood on his head.
Merlin! Merlin, man!
Right about that moment, there was a marked LAPD unit that just happened to be driving by. Mr. Adams flagged down the police unit, and there we began our crime scene.
Detectives immediately retrieved Merlin's cell phone.
We learned that Mr. Santana was speaking with somebody minutes prior to the shooting. And of course, we wanted to know who this person was.
That person, of course, is Mercedes. Brandon tells police about Merlin's call to her and how she showed up for a few minutes, then left.
That was interesting and odd, and of course we had to go down that avenue here. Who is this person?
Detectives have Brandon call Mercedes later that morning to ask if she'll meet him at a nearby restaurant.
What are you doing later on today? It's around like 1.
Amazingly, she agrees.
Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law.
When she came to meet Brandon Adams,
Do you understand?
the detectives were there waiting, and the detectives detained her.
The interrogation with this young lady did not start very well.
You realize you're in a lot of trouble here.
I didn't do anything.
She is a very street-savvy lady, and she said a number of lies.
I've never seen anybody or heard anybody get shot.
It just wasn't matching up. Her story kept changing,
I don't really know anybody else that was there.
and we couldn't figure out why was she lying.
What is your name?
Hadon Tamika Taylor.
What is your name?
Mercedes Brown.
She lied about her name, her date of birth,
May 25th, 1981.
where she resided.
Where?
Compton.
I don't believe you.
She said she was 21, and she looked 21. I was surprised when we found out that she was in fact 15 years of age.
Within a few hours, police learn her real name.
So what is your name?
Monique King.
She's Monique King, a 15-year-old runaway from a juvenile facility.
Listen, you can either be a suspect or a witness. It's your choice.
I didn't do anything.
She finally came forward, told us what had transpired prior to the shooting.
He called me to go to the party, and Damien took me.
Armed with Monique King's cell phone, detectives followed the electronic trail. It leads them to one of Monique's friends, a man named Damien Gates.
We got the wrong guys.
When police raid his house, they find at least one .30 caliber bullet, exactly the same as the casings from the crime scene. Also at the house is another man named Brandon Bynes, the second suspect in the case.
Were you there?
We drove Monique to the house.
Were you there?
I was there.
Faced with the evidence, both suspects admit they were involved in the shooting, but each man claims the other was the shooter.
Brandon shot.
Damien. It was Damien's gun.
Based on the trajectory of the shot that killed Mr. Santana, it was fairly clear that that was a round from a rifle rather than a handgun. Monique King said that Mr. Gates was the one who had the rifle and Mr. Bynes was the one who had a handgun. So from that, it was fairly clear that Mr. Gates was the individual who had actually fired the shot that killed Merlin Santana.
I know you hear me, man. Keep fighting.
Still, the great mystery is why. What possible reason could these men have had to kill an all-around good guy like Merlin Santana? The answer, when it emerged, would stun authorities. The catalyst for the ambush was an astonishing lie, concocted by Monique King.
What really started all of this was Miss King's false accusation that Brandon Adams and Merlin Santana had tried to rape her.
And then, like, they were just touching all over me. And
No one knows exactly when Monique first made the accusation. But just imagine how Damian Gates reacted to hearing that a Hollywood hotshot had possibly assaulted her. This murder was all about payback.
There's no reason for her to make that accusation, and obviously that led to a series of tragic events that resulted in the death of Merlin Santana.
I felt pretty angry and disgusted at the same time. And I couldn't think of a reason why she did it.
She was never able to explain to anyone why she would make up an accusation like this.
I didn't do anything.
Other than to just say that it was false and nothing like that had ever happened.
In the end, investigators suspect the crime probably started as a common home invasion.
We determined that it was more of a robbery attempt because when Monique King paid the visit to this residence where Santana and Mr. Adams were located, she went in to spy and take a quick look around, which explains her very brief visit. Her initial job was to go into the residence and look for jewelry and cash. And it's my belief that the suspects were going to storm the residence and gather what they could.
But when Merlin and Brandon left the house before the robbers could make their move, they became the unfortunate targets of misguided vengeance.
Miss King was instrumental in the shooting in that she set him up.
Ms. King never really expressed any remorse or any regret for what had happened, and to my knowledge has not to this day.
Miss King gave me the impression that she was proud that someone did the shooting. She believed it was because she was being protected, and she was flattered. It's very twisted, especially for a 15-year-old to say that. She's a very lost lady.
Damian Gates was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison plus 70 years. Brandon Bynes was convicted of voluntary manslaughter and assault with a deadly weapon. He received a 23-year sentence. Monique King, though a minor, was tried as an adult, but sentenced to just 8 years in the custody of the California Youth Authority. Merlin Santana is forever in the hearts of his family and friends. Shortly before his death, he made a chilling pronouncement.
He told his dad he was going to be our guardian angel, and his father got upset, and he told him, "I don't want you to joke like that. That's not a joke." And he said, "Yeah, for real, I'm going to be your guardian angel." I guess he had a feeling or something.
I'm out of here. Till next time, enjoy, y'all.